We got a really great lineup, a quintet of 5 totally different voices. But before that, we got Jeff Hayden, and come and talk to me about what poetry means in Swansea. Jeff Hayden. So, Jeff Hayden runs the Dylan Thomas Birthplace, which it's an amazing thing that we've got here, and what he and his colleagues did with the house to keep it going is fantastic. So Jeff, there's this great hoarding in Swansea that says more poetry is needed. We're having some great poetry tonight, but as the custodian of that house, which in some people would say is the birthplace of poetry in Swansea, you know, there were great poets before, but Dylan Thomas put Swansea on the map. What do you think about more poetry is needed?
I think it probably does need more poetry. It's got an awful lot of poetry the last 5 years, and certainly the last 2 or 3 years since that poster went up. Poetry has exploded in Swansea. There are cafes, bars, everywhere there are poetry evenings going on.
Yeah. And you do poetry in the house on a regular basis?
We have events going on all the time in the house. We have poets. We've had poets from Singapore, poets from Canada, as well as local poets. Poets on the Hill have been there. All of them here tonight.
Okay. Well, tonight we've got 5 great poets. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for all you've done. Let's get on with the show. First up, we got a poet called Rufus Mufasa. To me, her name's a poem. Oh God, what a lovely name. She's a hip-hop educator, she's a lyricist, she's a rapper, she's the mother of 2. She's got a debut album coming out shortly called Fur Coats from the Lion's Den. Let's give it up for Rufus Mufasa.
My name is Rufus Mufasa. I love Swansea. I lived here briefly when I was 19, when I was in college. I grew up in Ammanford, so Swansea was a big part of my life, I guess. I can remember one of my earliest solo memories of Swansea was when I was about 13 years old and the Alanis Morissette album dropped, Jag a Little Pill, and I mitched school and jumped on the bus. Went to HMV in town, bought a copy, and yeah, they didn't even ID me. I don't think they really cared. And that album, along with so many other music influences, taught me how to rap and just be bonkers with words. So my first poem I wrote at a conference a couple of weeks ago, held by the BBC Horizons and the Swansea Fringe. And there was a discussion there about what's happening with Swansea Culture Bit. This is my interpretation of what should happen and what has been happening. I love the way that the high street will not be gentrified. Councillors, artists, our people, all on a unique DIY vibe. Poetry, art, music has the answers. Turning the Monday morning feeling into a world of glorified dancers. We will no longer carry the guilt or the shame. Let our collective Swansea sound rule the domains. A city of culture taking over the airwaves. And it all started in that moment that we decided to campaign. I can see magic on the horizon. I can see so much love in the air. I am a prodigal son, daughter of Dylan. So much change is coming and I want to be there. Poetry slams and fringe festivals. Respect and nurture for the arts. Self-directed by Swansea people with so much punch and so much heart. Flapped out resilient cogs with so much passion, so much drive. Like relentless ants in toxic soils, they kept the high street alive. So by all means, build new stadiums, but safeguard the very venues that have grafted, that have trained schools of musicians and have moulded them into pillars of strength, laced in literature and language, pioneering profits, keeping activism active. I can see magic on the horizon. I can see so much love in the air. I am a prodigal son, daughter of Dylan. Change is coming, and I want to be there. going to dedicate this to you because Anne tells me off because she believes that I know my words really, and sometimes I get a bit scared and have to have the paper. But 2 children in, and that's what they kind of do to you. They take pieces of your brain, but they haven't stolen my creativity yet. So this is called Daughters of Dylan. And this is actually based on a true story. When I was in the trenches of labour with my sweet little Alice, my partner was exhausted and fell asleep, and I had just the most desensitised midwives who really didn't give a hoot about me. And all I had was a full moon, and Dylan Thomas, I swear to God, he was there. And this is what he told me. It was a dark, dark night, the moon filled the sky. Dylan Thomas sang me lullaby, he said, girl, resurrect that rage, pick up the pen and fill the page. No one more like nature than the woman. There's nothing wrong with stopping to say hi to a heron, and only when you do can you truly understand the lesson. I'm not messing, I'm raising warriors. Misogyny, I'll break your barriers. Building up a temple, ja, ja, ja. When you fly the nest, you gonna go far. We didn't mean to, but we built an army. Don't need brutality, we'll do it calmly. We love the darkness, it makes things so starry. We didn't mean to, but we built an army. Daughters of the land, and we will not go gentle. We be the daughters of the land, and we will not go gentle. We be the daughters of the land, and we will not go gentle. We will riot and rage, cause we're more than sentimental. Daughters of the land, and we will not go gentle. Daughters of the land, and we will not go gentle. Daughters of the land, and we will not go gentle. We will riot and rage, cause we're more than sentimental. I'm an Indian, but I love a cowboy, and together we be taking over. Bring on your best men, hurry your henchmen. I scandalize every last one of your soldiers. My boots are thick, but my skin is thicker. The boy was bad, but so was his liquor. But boy, did he school me. Now there's not a man that I can't read, so symbolically come with me and take a walk around the process. There come a day they lose their way strong. Daughters of Dylan will lead the protest. Supersonic sonnets in the darkness. 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 Daughters of the land, and we will not go gentle. We be the daughters of the land, and we will not go gentle. We be the daughters of the land, and we will not go gentle. We will riot and rage, cause we are more than sentimental. Yeah!
Rufus! Hell of a start, eh?
Yeah!
Okay, the next up needs no real introduction. She's a local girl. Not gone bad, gone vegan. Julie Manser is a poet on the hill. She's a founder, member and driving force for POTH. She's a proud working class woman. She's born and bred a Jack, and she lives up on the hill. And for my money, POTH is the only true legacy from 2014. You know, Dylan Thomas's centenary year was a very rich year for us all. In Swansea, it was incredible. But when you talk, and people who run these sort of things talk about legacy, they know what they're talking about. There's one legacy for me, and it's POTH. So Julie, come and show us.
This is for VJ. It was meant to be mind expansion. Dutch courage to keep her dancing, keep her thin. Everybody's got their poison, and red wine didn't touch her. Ironically, she was naturally gregarious, but when turned on, switched up, ordinary was replaced with revelry. Smiling turned to gurning, artificially regulating. Receptors damaged, moods carnaged. Now unable to perk up, Speeds were numb or rushing, pupils wide, on the level denied, up or down but never middle ground, extreme living. And when the Class A come down led to sanity dropout, the party was replaced with psychosis. Black dog, fragile. Eyes showed suspicion and her smile was crazy talking, so call a crisis team. Deemed dangerous, a police plea to answer this emergency with legitimate, necessary force. And the blues and twos donned protective gloves of blue, and a lack of empathy rang the doorbell. There was no doctor in the house. Voices encouraged her lash out. She fought the law, and the law won. Read the rights. You have no right to refuse treatment. Broken patient in custody. Cuff held, detained in pain, her black dog whispers. Remove your laces, the state power barked. It's for your own safety. Yeah, really? Behind bars, she tasted accidentally spilt iron, transferred calm on their injection, an injection she did not want. Later, she was sure they'd injected her not with meds, but with an infection. She didn't comprehend, but she was held by them in a cell for people that do understand they've done wrong and warrant incarceration. And all this was above board in 2016, the response of a caring NHS regime from cradle to grave via Swansea Nick Bedlam. Better now, Victorian hospital bound, months into section 2, then 3, ignoring her as number 1 in her moments of clarity, cold and lonely on an underfunded ward. Seeing things you don't see, hearing things they don't hear, saying things thought unlikely at review panel. But when it suited them, not her, releasing her like a swallow in the cold winter sky and able to cope at short notice in harsh light. And she flew over the cuckoo's nest. Promised a care package and regular contact. Notes made about needs to meet, treatment order in the community, receiving sweet FA. Eventually, cognitive behavioural therapy and another turn at tweaking the prescription drugs that couldn't hold her self-harm thoughts. Days and weeks and months spent delusional thinking. Blood testing, system cycling, busy doing nothing, pen pusher plan means little. Weary mates stapled stigma to her. From their choice-filled no fear yet to personally experienced fast lives, amused at her Facebook statements, inappropriately adding to her pile friends' assessments. Suspended animation awaiting stable. In a no room at the inn community, reflected in Cinderella facilities with no fairy tale ending. Pensioned parents, permanently on standby in their abandoned retirement, exhausted carers, intermittently angry, 8 years of it, wine-soaked and weary. Overriding umbilical division, arguing with twisted thinking and warped health provision. The daily support from those who are sharing her blood is thicker than the watery expert caring. They're trying their very best. It's hard to cope with her mental illness. The damage done during her darkest existence and knowing now what will come next. Removing her institutional process, the smell of no choice food and sanitizer. Her pain is visible if you're standing beside her. It's the Mental Health Act with its false smile. She begs, she whimpers, she is black, dog, fragile.
Thank you, Julia. Our next poet is Carl Beer. Another great name for me, because it links Marxism and alcohol. Two of my favourite things. So Carl was born in Neath. He now lives in Port Talbot, but tonight he's here in Swansea reading for us Carl Beer.
Good evening all. I knew I'd represent Swansea at something. Maybe football, but poetry's a close second. This first poem is called In a Perfect World. Midnight freestyle poetry, page 1 of my thoughts manifested. I was thinking to myself upon an idea that was suggested. I took a moment to stop and I thought about the human race as an invisible tear of what's to come trickled down my face. Like those sleepless nights with no sense of time, I was just lying upon my bed, expressing the thoughts and feelings that were running through my head. I slowly drift away with words and relax my open mind. I guess it's inner peace that I really seek to find. I'm thinking about my life, forgetting visions of a loved one's death, as so many precious thoughts pass with every precious breath. What is the real meaning here? Where do we put our aims to score fulfilling goals in life's big crazy game? Moments are always special. I take the good with the bad. Emotional fires burn, happy yet sometimes sad. I'm dreaming of an unseen future, yet reflecting on the past. But I always live for the perfect day, as time just runs out fast. Oh, that perfect day, in that perfect world. What would you like to see? Perhaps a world of peace that's wrapped up in unity, where the people join together, unite nationwide, ignite the vibrant dancing fires that burn from deep inside. Friends, we stand together. There's no hate or anger shown. See, when racism is truly buried and the seeds of love are sown, like the smiles of joy on happy faces that shine just like the star, as we all help our neighbour, no matter who they are. Our feelings so intense, forever climbing high, like on the wings of a dove, flying through the sky. Deep passions lie within, our love we want to give is freedom to the people. Just let us live. I don't know what the future holds, and whatever will be, will be. But I ask you all, in your own perfect world, what would you like to see? Thank you. This next one is called A Bit of a Mess. I was in a foreign land and I was thinking about accents. On the TV, it was 13th and the 3rd on a Thursday, and this is ITN News. I can't do accents like I'm trying to amuse. You say, hey up lad, do you like gravy? Well, tally ho, spiffing rather, I'm in the Navy. Why I man, up the tune like, calm down, I didn't nick your bike. Come with the rude boy like a bad boy selector, it's a combine harvester, it's no tractor. Can I go in a big truck with the flashing lights? I want to make a love to you, I like a full summer nights. I'm not from Birmingham, I'm from Dudley. See where I'm from, but a Kutch is far more cuddly. I was in this inner city life, with an inner city mess, like a city full of people cracking under stress. They walk through the streets with a frown upon their face. Their hearts turn even colder with each hour of hectic pace. The air quality is unbearable. It gets worse with every day. They say, like the traffic problem that will never go away. There's so many shops, high tower blocks, and a crime rate which is rife. I find it hard to think, what's good about my city life? Ah! Wales! 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 For my sweet home is Wales. Till death do us part, you're always in my heart. For my sweet home is Wales. With its valleys so green and its lakes so blue, I speak for Wales with pride. As my endless love grows deeper, like the turn of the Swansea tide. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you. Now, are you ready for Claire Ferguson Walker? I'm lucky enough to have known Claire for a while. I've been at festivals with her in Larne and Llandilo, but she's left that all behind. She's been on the road supporting Dr. John Cooper Clarke, no less. But tonight she's here supporting Swansea 2021. Claire.
Hello, it's lovely to be here, supporting Swansea. I love Swansea. It was always the place we'd go for a big night out when I lived in Carmarthen. It was like Carmarthen's exceptionally glamorous big sister that we just wanted to be like, but couldn't quite sort of assimilate the glamour into us. And I had my first major sort of E freak out in Swansea, so I can't go past where the escape club used to be on Queen Street without getting a slightly nervous twitch in my eye and feeling nauseous. Oh, genuinely true. Now, I've got 2 kids. I know, don't I look great? No, don't answer that, honestly. 2 kids, and they've got to the age now where they've just become incredibly manipulative, actually, if I'm honest. They're sort of way past the very cute little phase where everything they do is adorable. They kind of use just all sorts of techniques to get their own way. And it's the time of year, Christmas, yay, coming, sorry, where I have to sort of take them into supermarkets so that they can buy presents for each other and other members of the family. And it's a very strange environment, I think, for everybody, but particularly young children. Sort of brings out the inner chimp in young children, or particularly mine anyway. There's not much holding the inner chimp in, frankly. And last time I was in a supermarket with my little boy, he just ran away from me, genuinely ran away, and we found him scooping Nutella into his mouth down by the sort of jam aisle. And I realised that my liberal parenting style had kind of created a rod for my own back. But they do have their moments, my children. And recently my 12-year-old daughter told me that she didn't feel that she related to either being a girl or a boy. Which is, you know, kind of this buzz thing for young people these days. You know, she told me about feeling sort of gender fluid, like she doesn't relate to being a girl, doesn't relate to being a boy. And she said, Mum, you know, when you're like that, she said, it's kind of like you're a gender refugee. It's all profound. Let me just take a moment there to revel in the glory. Wow, you came from the fruits of my womb, well done. And it got me thinking about that concept, that idea about not relating. And I've written a poem about these things, using furniture as a giant metaphor. And I'm sure you're culturally intelligent enough to work out the metaphor as we go along. And this poem is called The Man Who Was a Chaise Longue. And this is live streamed, isn't it? So this is going out to anyone in America with insomnia. Hello, hi. They're bound to be there, seriously. The Man Who Was a Chaise Longue. When they were boys, Alan's brothers used to play with toys. Worlds imagined, destroyed. He-Man, Spudgun, even the Millennium Falcon. But Alan lived outside the norm. His engagement with objects was met with scorn. What the hell is wrong with him? His mother would shout, because she was in fact Terry Jones from Monty Python. I've no idea, Pamela, but I'm in no doubt. It's just a fad. You see, the thing that was driving the Wilmots mad was that it seemed dovetailed into their son's nature to actually want to be an item of furniture. His static stance was noted early on. He'd crouch down by the couch with nothing but cushions on. Hours and hours would be whiled away in the same position he would stay, and at dinner time he'd declare, going firmly against his human grain, that he felt more akin to fabric and wood. And when asked if happy, he'd simply answer, so far so good. Cheers, thanks for that groan. As his teenage years flushed out his childhood, the Spudgun's ammunition spent, the rejection in He-Man's ego more than just a dent. Girls became his brother's passion. Smooth bodies became hairier in fashion. Consumed substances revealed their consciousness had multiple flaws, while Alan experimented with becoming a chest of drawers. He struggled, though, to settle and find inner peace. He tried a dressing table, a wardrobe, and finally a mantelpiece. He was in this state when his great-aunt Myrtle died. She'd been old, isolated, and at her funeral only really her daughter cried. It wasn't long before her will was read. Earthly materials handed out, no longer needed now that she was dead. And that was when it came into their lives, their home, a chaise longue, fake walnut, reupholstered with cheap jacquard and memory foam. But to Alan, it was a thing of utter beauty, such stirrings he'd never experienced himself. And as he gazed upon it as a mantelpiece, he said, "When I look at you, I want to touch my shelf." Thanks. But to regard just wasn't enough. He had to be this thing to really achieve a state of self-love. So that was it. He legally changed his status. Alan was gone. It made national news. The headline, "Man becomes chaise longue." His parents were utterly perplexed. His mother sought psychological help to see if his ways could be flexed. And the shrink asked many questions and pondered notions of an inability to cope with reality and the full range of human emotions. She asked about early childhood experiences. Had there been any untoward interferences? No, nothing extraordinary came to light. Alan was uncategorizable, all right. She'd heard, of course, of those being gender misaligned, and even heard of those who felt more comfortable relating as the feline kind. His father chipped in. "You don't suppose it's something to do with his brain? You know, the science of the neuro. Mind you, you don't think it's that he was conceived up against the bureau?" That idea was dismissed as easily as it had come. And in the end, it was decided that Alan was happy and that nothing need be done. You see, the problem parents often have, said Dr. Valerie Bunn, is that they project their own version of acceptable onto their young. And the answer comes when the solution is given, when you accept that your projected version is not the answer. You have to love the child you were given and not the one you want. Thank you.
Our final poet is well known here in Swansea, Iqbal Malik. His first collection of poetry, Titans, came out in 2015. Iqbal's been central figure in Swansea in setting up spoken word competitions. Here in 2016 he established the Swansea Poetry Slam, and in the next year he created the Gunslinger Poetry Slam, both of which he compares. There's a new kid on the block. Tonight he's here, armed and dangerous with high caliber poems, performing for us. Big warm welcome for Iqbal.
Thanks, Jeff. Bigged me up a bit too much there. I think I can't take credit for all of that. I knew I should learn my words. This is pressure. Okay, so I've got two poems tonight. The first one is called Pottery Street Subway, and it's about a tunnel at Pottery Street Subway, which is just down the road from here. And it's typically been used over the years for sort of drug users congregating there. There's a lot of sort of push by graffiti artists at the moment to transform it as a sort of public space, and they do some amazing work. So that was the main reason I wrote that poem, but it was also got a reference in there to Twin Town, and this year marks the 20th year of its release in 1997. So that was the idea. But anyway, it's called Pottery Street Subway. These spray painted murals have got their own ID. Pottery Street's finest, the new Linear B. Kids playing Banksy with graffiti guns, hitting tunnel vision murals like urban home runs. But these cats are playing like they're regular gamers, racking up scores if they're Hall of Famers. But these dirty arches ain't just innocent tags. There's a new generation shooting up on Skag, silhouetted in the subway like Polaroids, snapshots of a city hooked on opioids. Fentanyl on their fingertips ready to roll, synthetics smack the perfect social control. Mainlining madness to potent pop art, then deconstructing minds like a Rene Descartes. Because the Lewis boys are back, cooking up brown, where ambition's still critical in this twin town. Thank you. So that's in my back pocket in case I forgot the words, so I can get rid of that. The other one's a slightly longer one. I wasn't sure what I was going to read tonight, actually, but I've chosen a sort of combination of two poems, and this one is a combination of The Shining and Eon. It's not from the film The Shining, it's a different vibe to that. So maybe I'll have to rename that one. But just the sort of carnage and chaos that's going on in the world at the moment, I think we kind of forget where we're from, and this poem represents more of my sort of spiritual, metaphysical and philosophical poem. So that's the sort of reason for it. The other reason I chose it was because it just reminded me of a local poet who we all lost recently, Vijay Singh. A really amazing man, very talented poet, had troubles of his own like we all do in the sort of cultural sort of art scene, but he's a very, very good poet. And I remember a line in one of his poems, I think the poem is called Monologue, and it's in the Poth anthology. It's either called Monologue or The Lost Child of Passion. And there's a line in that which he says, like a crystallized tear from the eye of God himself. And that's kind of how I remember Vijay. So this one's called The Shining. Every second, every moment we shone. When the stars were first lit, and the first beacon flickered in the black, and the first moon fell on the first water. For the universe rolled out with all her thunder, all her atoms. A sweeping consciousness moving through the deep, illuminating the void. Matter and antimatter, quarks and antiquarks exploding with a single purpose, a single mission. The building blocks of life like angels in the ether, reverberating and shaking, remaking themselves in the mind of God. Each shot, each particle, each blast of the gun, each thunderbolt of life fired through space as creation poured outwards. Galaxies greater than God, tumbling, hurtling through time, exploding into the unknown, as the mind made more. More worlds, more stars, more suns, more moons, more seas. Yet still we lost sight. Even the word, the first word, his word, was changed. I guess life has its own way of bringing balance, of weaving magic into your world, reshaping, recasting you till you're reborn and remade. But some say nothing's coincidental, that there's no such thing as flukes or fortune, not here anyway in this. Perfectly formed, perfectly tuned, multiverse of infinite potential, where things change on the turn of a coin or the throw of a dice, where chance announces itself like a roaring god, winged and wondrous on life's swirling storm. You see, whether you like it or not, every invisible piece of life, every atom, every interconnected particle, every element, every thought, every action, every imagined moment is precisely and perfectly planned. Every photon, neutron, quark and antiquark, every boson, every lepton, every unnamed particle, pulsing in the protoplasm of life, endlessly emitting its energy of love and light. Nothing can be left to chance, so nothing is. The sun moving through the skies, the stars ticking and turning like clockwork gods in the cosmos, geometrical giants, unfaltering, unrelenting, moment after moment, age upon age, eon after eon, a fizzing fusion of self-perpetuating energy where soul and science collapse to a single point. Thank you.
Okay. There you have it. Swansea 2021 Poetry Talent Showcase. And I think you'll all agree with me, there was a hell of a lot of talent on display tonight. Five totally different voices. Some of us taking us up and some of us taking us down, but all making us think. So I think it was a really wonderful evening. Thanks to every poet who read. Thank you all for coming. Thanks to Mal, Ed and Danny for hosting us here at the Heist. Thanks to Jeff from the Birthplace who works hard up there to keep poetry coming. The bar's open, so you can get a glass and raise it in support of Swansea 2021. And remember what it says on the hoarding. More poetry is needed. Thank you.